The programs The Nature of Things and My Three Sons, sponsored by the Carnation Company Limited, and The Defenders, sponsored by the makers of Players Cigarettes and by Texaco Canada Limited, will not be seen tonight. In just a moment, we take you to Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto for the 5th game of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The Stanley Cup Playoffs. Brought to you by Imperial Oil Limited. On behalf of Imperial Esso dealers and Imperial Esso agents from coast to coast.
Hello, Canada and hockey fans. In the United States, Bill Hewitt from Maple Leaf Gardens, and now the national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem.
Teams are all set to start the first period now for this very crucial 5th game of the Stanley Cup Final Series, which is tied 2 apiece. This could be the turning point as far as the two teams are concerned. They could go on from here. And for this first period, it's the scoring plays.
Pumping oil from down below and guarding every drop. But this well's flowed for 14 years and soon it's bound to stop, unless someone can find a way to make the oil still flow. Imperial Oil Research has the men who need to know. Now water lies inside a sponge like oil lies in the rock, and finding ways to drive it out makes them work round the clock. They see what acid does to core, then pump it down below to eat new channels through the stone to help the oil to flow. Imperial Research builds machines to help them in their toil, to see if pumping fluids down can flush out extra oil. They made this model oil well that light goes shining through, to see what happens down below, to show them what to do. We're pumping oil from down below and guarding every drop. Though this well's flowed for 14 years, it's still not gonna stop. Imperial Research works a way to make that oil still flow. Imperial Oil Research has the men who really know.
Imperial Oil, first in Canada in petroleum research.
Good evening, everyone. Ward Cornell here. And we're happy to have as our first guest tonight a return visit from Doug Harvey. Doug, how are you enjoying this one?
Very much, Ward. It's sort of changed from the last game. I think Toronto have taken over a little bit. They're rushing Chicago, and the game sort of changed right around.
Do you find that you just get involved in a game like this, Doug, even though you've been in it for years and years?
Well, Ward, I'm not too used to sitting there, but I sure do. I was sitting there tonight, and I almost forgot to come over and see you.
Doug, we've got some questions from fans, and as a matter of fact, the first one sort of ties in with maybe what happened tonight. But how important is it deciding what line to put out at the opening of the game, the positioning of the lines?
Well, as you know, the home team has the choice, Ward. It's pretty important. You can put a checking line against, let's say, the other team's scoring line. When you're at home, you can see the opening lineup and judge accordingly. But, of course, during a hockey game, you can get a fella hurt. The other team can make a few moves, and in the end, it's just about up to the players on the ice. I mean, you can plan all your strategy you want, but in the end, it's up to those fellows on the ice.
Doug, do you try to get one line out against another yourself?
Oh, yes, Ward. We try that.
What happens if you want line A to go against line B, and as soon as there's the face-off, line B runs off the ice after shooting it down and comes out? Do you try to do the same?
Yes, if you've given your fellows instructions beforehand, but sometimes you have to be careful. If the face-off's in your own end, you can't have the fellows running to the bench. If you have to wait till the puck goes in the other team's end, then you tell them beforehand to come off the ice.
Now, what kind of a line would you play against the Hull, Hay, Balfour line and against the Kelly line for the Leafs?
Well, they're both scoring lines. You would try and get your checking line. On every team, there's possibly 2 lines that can score and 1 that checks. You try and get your checking line against a line that's going hot, and of course the Hay line and Kelly's line would be in that category.
Now then, how long do you leave a line out?
Basically, Ward, around 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute and 3/4. If you have a good fella like Bobby Hull, a strong fella that really goes, you can leave him out 2 shifts, but you have to watch that. You have to know your players, but just around 2 minutes for a shift.
What about a defensive unit? Does it stay out for 2 turns or not?
Not usually. It used to be that, but now they change according with the lines.
Mm-hmm. In this series, we've seen a lot of defensemen trying to stop pucks. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, we like that, to get them to block the shots, but out a little bit, not back in on the goaltender. But I like to see a defenseman blocking those shots.
Do you feel the play that we've seen in the series so far, they've been moving back in too far or not?
No, I don't. They've been standing up there pretty well, I think. Most of the shots have been out, and they're outside of 1 or 2 that have been screened. I think the defensemen are standing up pretty well.
Good. Thanks very much, Doug. And you'll be back at the end because you'll be picking the 3 stars. Right. Well, we're happy to have as our next guest a gentleman that I'm sure Punch Imlach is not happy to have as our guest, Johnny Bauer. Come on in here, John. Now, tell us about your injury, and could you describe the play and how it worked or not?
Well, Ward, it's just one of those things that Bobby Hull wound up from the blue line, and he certainly let one go. I think it's one of the fastest shots that I've seen since I've been up here in this league, and I really had to move fast for it. I really didn't know I could move that fast, and I found out later I couldn't get up for a while, and then I tried to work it out a bit there, but I went out once to try and clear a puck, and I was lost. I just lost my complete reflexes there because I was just more or less, my foot wouldn't move for me.
John, did you follow the puck all the way in? I mean, did you see it leave his stick, or did you have to pick it up somewhere along the way, or what?
Well, as a goaltender, I always try and size most of the players where they shoot. Bobby Hull usually shoots about waist high. Sometimes he gets those shots low on the ice, but he had me a little confused on that one because I was starting to pull up a bit. And then I looked, and he looked down on his stick again, and then I thought I'd better crouch, and it's a good thing I crouched, because if I didn't, that thing would have gone possibly right through the net.
Yeah, right into the corner,
right
for sure.
in the corner.
John, I don't want this to sound like this is your life or not, but I thought that we better take a look on film at that particular play and then maybe talk a bit more about it afterwards. Well, here's the action, and the Leafs, of course, are in the white, and the dark are the Blackhawks. They're moving up, and there's the shot. There you go, and of course you got... What happened? Did your skate catch in a niche there, John, or what?
No. When he did shoot that puck, Ward, I put my hand out to get it, but I also thought with a shot like him, I have to have something behind it to try and block the shot in case I missed it with my glove. And one of those things, if I didn't put my leg there, well, I would have got the puck. It would have been all right, but I also would like something behind my glove in case I do miss it. It'll always hit my pad and bounce out. At least I've got a second chance.
I also felt that later in the period, wasn't there another similar situation? I saw you trying to work out the injury, and then you were called upon again to do some acrobatics.
Well, there was once there when Mikita came in, I believe, and I went out a little bit and started to skate back, and he shot it, and it's a good... I didn't even know I stopped it, to be honest with you, because I thought it was going to go through my legs. I just couldn't move.
Now, it is a groin injury, John.
It is a groin injury, yes.
Now then, what is the treatment?
Well, right now there's not much you can do but rest it. I'll get some whirlpool treatments and heat treatments, and if they need me to play, the doctors have a lot of needles, so I'm just sitting there and hoping nothing happens to Donnie, because he certainly... I put the kid on a lot of pressure on him, and I certainly know that I've got a lot of confidence, and so is the team, and I know he's going to pull us through.
He certainly came up with some big saves in that first
He sure did. He got that nice
period.
breakaway there on one of the players.
Good. Now then, I want to ask, the first Black Hawk goal the other night, did that go off of Hull or not? I
Yes.
couldn't really tell.
Yes, it did. Mikita was on my left, and I had to hold my post tight. I couldn't move because if I left my post, he would have put it in the short side. And I had to hold it tight, and he passed it across, and Bobby Hull was just in the front, and he ticked it in from the air, and he just ticked it right in the net.
John, the defense in the first two games here, the Leaf defense, was clearing awfully well. How were they clearing in the Chicago series? Were they clearing as well, or was it because they were pushed back? What?
No, I think the whole reason there is that the series there, I believe, Ward, is that the game's been so rough. It's just whoever got the first goal, they would just start to bang each other around and everything else. Of course, I don't like hockey like that. I like good, clean hockey, and of course, you're playing for the Stanley Cup, and anything can happen in playoffs. But I thought the defensemen played real good, and I thought everybody played good. We just didn't have any breaks, that's all.
Good. Thank you very much for chatting with us, John. Hope to see you back into action. And now let's go over to Ed Fitkin and the highlights.
Well, hello, everyone. We have 3 goals to show you tonight on the videotape highlights. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, urged on by their fans and the Go Leafs Go cry that certainly filled and rocked the Maple Leaf Gardens tonight, took the lead before most of the fans were sitting down in 17 seconds. And here's how the play started. There's Pulford with it, just back of center ice, heading back toward his own line. He tries to pass to Brewer and sort of missed it. Brewer flips it up to Olmsted, who fires it into the corner. Bobby Nevin now picks it up and fires it. Bobby Pulford shoots, and the puck is stopped by Glenn Hall, but it slipped through his arm. He seemed to have it covered on that play, but it slipped through his arm and fell into the net, and the Leafs were out in front 1-0. Well, there were plenty of exciting moments from then until the next goal, and 2 of the highlights came when Don Simmons came charging out of his net to make 2 spectacular saves while the Hawks were short-handed. Then the Leafs again went ahead late in the period as Bobby Pulford circling behind center ice and coming up. Watch this play around Palat, and a high shot that just ticked off the glove of Glenn Hall into the far left corner of the net to make it 2-0 for the Leafs, and that goal came at 17:45. Well, the Leafs were pretty hot at that moment, but the Hawks weren't finished by any means, and before the period ended, they came back with their first goal of the game, and they kept the puck in the Toronto zone, and here's how the play went. Hay across in front of the net to Murray Balfour, who just arrived in time to tick it in. Bobby Hull was the fellow who kept it in at the blue line, so that made the score 2-1 at the end of the first period. And now, here's Ward Cornell.
And we're happy to have now as our next guest one of the outstanding defensemen with the Montreal Canadiens, and I understand the National Hockey League's most eligible bachelor, Tom Johnson. Tom, is that true? Am I right in that?
Well, I'm still a bachelor, but I wouldn't say how eligible.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Tom. On the game tonight, looking at the 4 defensive units, which one of them do you think is the most effective?
Well, tonight I would say that Bond and Brewer of Toronto have been a little more effective because they were on for the first 2 penalties against Toronto, and they killed those penalties very well, which I thought was maybe a turning point of the game.
What are the important skills you feel for a defensive unit in a situation like that?
Well, I noticed they were body checking very well and also blocking shots, and with a little help from, quite a bit of help from Armstrong, they were clearing the puck well.
And, well, I say we're getting the sign here. Thanks very much, Tom. I'm sorry that our time is cut short here, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi. Meet the great-granddaddy of the outboard motor. It's a 1925 model, pretty good in its time, but also pretty unreliable. Of course, today there are many fine outboard motors on the market, and naturally your neighborhood Imperial SO dealer keeps right with the times by stocking a complete line of marine products to go along with them. Let's take a look at a few. For instance, here's SO Outboard Motor Oil. It can be used in all modern outboards. It's sold in this handy container, especially graduated to show oil and gas mixture. Then there's SO outboard gear oil, sold in this useful 8-ounce tube, complete with a built-in nozzle that fits into any gear case opening for quick and easy filling. And of course, many SO dealers stock Atlas Marine batteries, the batteries with lots of that famous Atlas punch, and Atlas Marine spark plugs, packed in a moisture-proof pack so you can carry a spare. So this summer, take my tip. Make your neighborhood Imperial SO dealer your first port of call for your boating requirements. You'll enjoy happy boating as well as happy motoring.
Your Imperial SO dealer is right with the times.
The scoring plays in the first period. Bobby Popper scored both of them for the Leafs from Olmsted and Nevin at 17 seconds and unassisted at 17:45. Murray Balfour from Hay and Hull at 18:05, and of course you saw the goals as part of the videotape highlights with Ed Fitkin just a moment ago, and all were good efforts. There were 5 penalties handed out by referee Eddie Powers in the first period. Nevin of the Leafs for boarding at 31 seconds. Shack of the Leafs for cross-checking at 3:47. Hay of Chicago for high-sticking at 5:44. Brewer of the Leafs for tripping at 8:12. Evans of Chicago for holding at 10:56. The teams are starting to come out now from the east side center exit. Maple Leaf Gardens, a capacity crowd. They're jammed all over the place in the Gardens tonight. The linesmen are George Hayes, number 9, Ron Wicks, number 11, referee Eddie Powers, striped jersey, number 1. The last time that a goalkeeper was called out of the stands to take part in a Stanley Cup final was April the 11th, 1953. Sugar Jim Henry was injured and replaced by Gordon Henry. Up with 2 goals that gave them a 3-2 lead, and then had the Leafs score 3 in a row and go ahead 5-3. And so at the end of the second period, the score, the Toronto Maple Leafs 5 and the Chicago Blackhawks 3.
Say, the warm weather's coming up. It'll soon be time to see more of Canada, and the best way to see it is by car. If you're planning any trips this summer, remember to use the Imperial SO touring service for free maps with marked routes. But before you take to the open road, your car also needs attention, like a spring changeover and tune-up. Tune-up or travel, you can use your SO-matic credit card wherever you go. And of course, here's the perfect traveling companion, your SO dealer's spring special. This vinyl-covered, leather-lined travel bag. You can pick yours up on the spot or through this handy mail order form, wherever you see this display. The price, just $5. These services, these products, are just another reason why we say...
Your Imperial SO dealer is right with the times.
And say, speaking of travel bags, so many people have already found out what a bargain this leather-lined bag is that many dealers are temporarily out of stock. If this is the case with your SO dealer, pick up a form, fill it in, mail it in tomorrow, and get one of Canada's top values, the SO travel bag.
Ward Cornell with you again, and I trust not as confused as when I left you at the end of the last period. And we're happy to have now from the New York Rangers, Muzz Patrick. This is a real thriller, Muzz, eh?
It certainly is a thriller. Everything's happening in this game, and I think you're still going to see a lot more in this next 20 minutes.
Muzz, there have been a lot of questions asked about rules, and you're on the rules committee of the NHL.
Yes, that is so.
Now, some fans were wondering about the misconduct penalty. Why? There's no real penalty to a team. There's no loss of a player. Why is this so?
Well, not exactly. You don't lose a player numerical, but you do lose. You're prohibited from using that certain player for the 10-minute time you must spend in the penalty box.
Well, then what is the purpose of it, though?
Oh, well, it is to for the referee's authority to make sure that the players don't abuse the official in any way and that they don't perhaps humiliate him by making motions or actions like banging the stick in disgust, and also for using abusive language. I think it is a rule in there for the referees to fully control the game.
What is the fine?
In the National League, it's an automatic $25 fine.
Is it always the same?
Always the same.
Now, what about a game misconduct?
Well, a game misconduct is when a player perhaps persists in disobeying what he's been told by the referee, and he will be put out for the balance of the game, and it's an automatic $50 fine in that instance.
No more than that.
It could be more if it went to the hands of the president, who would rule.
Is it possible for a player to receive two misconducts at the same time or not?
Well, no, because if he got a misconduct and continued to perhaps wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing, he'd be thrown out of the game in a game misconduct.
Another question that came up, the business of the puck going in the crowd, when it's shot up in the crowd. Now, is the face-off where the puck goes into the crowd or where the shot was made?
The face-off would be made where the puck, if the puck is shot from a player's stick right into the crowd, it would be faced out where the player shot, or where it was deflected, if there was a deflection. In other words, where the puck last leaves the playing surface, where the face-off would take place.
And what happens if it's a deliberate?
It is a 2-minute penalty.
Fine. Thank you very much, Mus,
you,
for clearing those up for the fans.
Thank you.
And now our next guest, actually one of the questions you hear a lot these days is what happens if Glenn Hall is injured? Well, what happens is Mr. Roy Edwards, and we're happy to have Roy with us tonight. Roy, where have you been playing this year?
Well, Ward, I started the season off in Sault Ste. Marie in the Eastern Professional Hockey League. Our club never got off to a very good start, and the club doesn't go too well. They usually blame the goalkeeper, so I was replaced by Jerry Cheevers from the Toronto organization, and then Jerry McNamara got hurt in Pittsburgh in the American Hockey League, and I was down there for 10 games. Then Don Head got hurt in Portland in the Western Hockey League, and I was out there for 8 games and replaced him.
Busy year. Now, you're just up for the playoffs, Roy.
Yeah, I'm standing by a war just for the playoffs.
Did you do this last year? Have you ever done it before?
Oh, yes, I've done it. I did it last year in the playoffs for, I think it was 4 games last year.
Now, during this period, are you practicing with the club?
Well, yes, the Hawks usually practice the morning of the game for maybe 20 minutes. Usually have 2 line rushes in their sweatsuits.
Oh, just the sweatsuits,
Yes.
not in uniforms. Anything unusual happen at practices, say, in the last week or so that sort of ties in with the series or not?
Well, Ward, yes, there was an unusual incident. Reggie Fleming has been practicing a shot along the ice on my stick side, which is the same side as Donnie Simmons has. I hold the stick in my left hand and catch my right, and so does Simmons. And Reggie scored a goal the other night on that same shot.
Oh, a low shot.
It was a low shot, yeah, on the stick side.
Another thing about equipment, except for the skates, do you bother taking equipment, or would you use Glenn's if he were hurt?
Well, I take all my own equipment to work, and skates, sticks, and everything.
Sticks?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Why would you take sticks?
Well, I take my own goal sticks. I think most goalkeepers take their own sticks because, well, myself, Glenn Hall, use a Lie 11 goal stick, and I use a Lie 11, or Lie 13.
Now, what do you mean by a Lie 11 and a Lie 13?
Well, a Lie 11 is a little closer to the ice, like a handle is a little closer to the ice, and a 13 is a little higher, is more for a stand-up.
If that were a Lie 13, would that be 11 or would that be 11?
That'd be 11.
That'd be 11, yeah. Good diagram here. Well, thanks very much, Roy. And I know that you'd kind of like, it must be frustrating to be behind Glenn Hall.
Well, it is kind of frustrating. You're kind of waiting for a chance to play, then nothing seems to happen.
Well, maybe you'll get your chance.
I
Thanks
hope
for
so.
chatting with us,
Thanks,
Roy.
Ward.
Our next guest is the gentleman who still holds the record for the most consecutive games played in the National Hockey League during regular seasons. Red Wing, Leaf, and now with the New York Rangers, Johnny Wilson. Do you still hold that record, John?
Yes, I do, Ward. Getting a little old, though.
Anybody coming close to it?
Well, of course, Glenn Hall out there tonight, he's played over 500 games, and also Andy Benton, who is presently with the New York Rangers. I think he's played over 500 games.
This series that we're seeing between Chicago and the Leafs, does it remind you of any series in the past?
Well, a few years back when I was with the Detroit Red Wings, we had some pretty tough hockey playoffs against the Leafs and also against the Canadians. We usually would body check and soften the other team down until about the middle of the second period, and then it'd settle down and be a fairly good hockey game. And it looks like this series is similar to what we used to play.
Taking halfway through the series to soften them up and then playing hockey. Yes. The business of going into the boards, there's this terrible noise and thump. Does it really hurt as much as it sounds?
Well, any kind of a body check will hurt, Ward, but I don't think it hurts as much as if when a player is close to the boards and another player hits you, you're kind of close to the boards, and you don't, it's not as bad as it sounds. There's an awful crash, but usually, as you can see, the players skate away. It's not as bad as it sounds.
Well, what is the toughest check or checks?
Well, I would say offhand, if you're hit dead on, in other words, if you're going one way and the other fellow's going the other way, that really hurts.
I bet it does. Well, Johnny, thanks very much for dropping by and chatting with us. An exciting period with lots of scoring. For a look at the highlights, let's go to Ed Fitkin. On check on that, sorry, Scott Young, you're standing by here. Say, I'm really having a bad night. I can't read the signs properly.
A lady phoned me up and said the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a hockey game since the last time I was on with this pipe. And so she persuaded me to bring it on, although I'm totally impartial myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are we going to look for?
Well, I think the Toronto fans are trying to show that they can be uncouth too in this game tonight, and we've had everything. Eggs on the ice. They seem to be bigger eggs than they have in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Firecrackers. Nobody thrown out yet that I know. Fans arguing with Rudy Pillis and having the players go after them. And I think what we have to look for in the third period is maybe more of the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, are we ready yet over there? No. Anything else to look forward to?
Well, yes. I think people may have noticed the way the Leafs are shooting high on Glen Hall. Now, this is something they've tried to do in the earlier games, and they haven't been able to get their shots up and keep them accurate. Mm-hmm. They have, in this game, had quite a few high shots. Pulford's first goal was a high shot that got away from Hall. The second goal was a high shot. I can't read my notes here for any more of them, but you'll notice they are shooting high all the time, and the reason for this is that usually on the first save, Hall will go down. He'll go down to make the save. Keon's shot had to be high. Remember, Hall was down? Mm-hmm. They've been working on this high shooting ever since they started to play Chicago, and it seems to be paying off for them tonight.
Fine. Thank you, Scott. You mentioned eggs. I've been laying quite a few in the queues, but I understand we are ready now for the playback of the highlights in Ed Fitkin.
Well, thank you, Ward, and we certainly have plenty of goals to show you from that second period at 5, as a matter of fact, and they'll be coming up in just a moment. Chicago Blackhawks hit back in no time at all to tie the score 2-2 as the period started. 59 seconds to be exact, and here's what happened. Tim Horton lost control of the puck, as you'll see, and here they start out down the ice. Play is in the Chicago coming up the ice, and Bobby Hull back passes. Well, this is the other goal. That's the second goal. We missed the first one, I guess. That was the goal that put the Hawks ahead 4-3 when the Leafs were shorthanded with Dick Duff in the penalty box. Hull and McDonald making a beautiful play, and McDonald scoring. That was his second goal of the game. He got the first one that tied it up at 2-2 in the start of the second period. Then Toronto tied it up 3-3 on that deflection there. The shot by Horton, which Billy Harris ticked into the net. They're coming at us fast and furious here. Then the Leafs went ahead 4-3 almost a minute later. And on this play, Dave Keon scored the goal that Scott was talking about with a high flip. And here's the play now. There's Keon back to Horton. Horton shoots, and Hall saved it. Then Keon fights for it. It's back out in front. Horton again, and Keon flipped it over Hall, who was down, as you saw. That made it 4-3. Then at 13:24 of the period, Mahovlich made it 5-3 for the Toronto team as they continued their powerful attack. Here's how the play went before this goal was scored, incidentally. Duff and Keon had clean-cut breakaways for the Leafs and Pilat for the Hawks. And here's the play now. Mahovlich going in on the net is chased in the corner and taken out by Vasco. The Hawks couldn't get away. Kelly shoots, and Mahovlich is right there to flick it in right on the doorstep of Glenn Hall, who was out of his cage. So that's the score as we await the start of the third period, 5-3. And now we'll give the play back here to Bill Hewitt and the play-by-play in just a moment.
It's almost the end of another season of NHL hockey. It's been good hockey, brought to you by your Imperial Esso dealer. A good man to do business with all year round. Whatever the season, he offers the right products at the right prices. Now this includes gasolines, He sells the Esso brand. It's his personal choice. He'd like it to be yours, too. But right now, in many parts of Canada, he faces tough price competition. But even here, he sells Esso and Esso Extra with confidence because he recognizes that it's the value you get with a good brand that saves you money in the long run. He knows the value of his brand, the research and manufacturing skill behind it, the other unseen benefits like Essomatic credit and the Esso touring service. These he doesn't discount. He knows you won't either, because they guarantee your satisfaction and remain possible through your continued patronage. Right products, right prices, together with a genuine desire to give good service. These are foundations of his business. If you've enjoyed hockey, stay right with the times with your Imperial Esso dealer this summer. Happy motoring.
In the first period, Pulford scored from Olmsted and Nevin at 17 seconds to give the Leafs a 1-0 lead. Then Pulford, unassisted at 17:45, made it 2-0. But Murray Belford got one back from Hay and Hull at 18:05 as Chicago outshot the Leafs 13-10, but the Leafs outscored them 2-1. There were 5 penalties in the first period. Nevin of the Leafs for boarding at 31 seconds. Shack of the Leafs for cross-checking at 3:47. Hay of Chicago for high sticking at 5:44. Brewer of the Leafs for tripping at 8:12. Evans of Chicago for holding at 10:56. In the second period, the high-flying Blackhawks tied the score on McDonald's goal from Makita and Saint Laurent at 59 seconds. And it was scored when McDonald stole the puck from Horton and went in and let go a high slap shot that caught the top left-hand corner, Simmons having no chance. Makita picked up an assist with Saint Laurent. And then McDonald scored again from Hull and Makita, 3:07. And the Leafs are coming out of the ice now for the third period. And so are the Chicago Blackhawks. So Stan Makita picked up 2 assists in a row. Good enough to not only tie, but break the Stanley Cup playoff most assists record. He now has 15. Which gives him one more than Fleming McKell. He had 19 points going into tonight's game, and he picked up the 2 assists, so he breaks the most points in a playoff series. He now has 21. And that was set by Gordie Howe with 9 goals and 11 assists for 20 points in 1954-55. Stan Makita now has 6 goals and 15 assists for 21 points. So Stan Makita setting 2 records tonight, both of them in the second period, and both of them on...
Landry, Landry, forward, out! I know where you're ordered.
5 extends 15 pace, to love my present position. I'll make almost to all answers and call the guard for all line parties to be bearing with me.
When the tires are humming and the motor bursts and your car is eager and the thought occurs that it's good to be alive in this land of ours. Good to drive in this land of ours. What a great, great feeling, what a wonderful sense of sheer enjoyment and of confidence. For there's something you're aware of, your car's been taken care of, that's the SO sign of confidence. That's the happy motoring sign.
Great place to see this Canada, and the best way to see it is by car. For maps and marked routes to any section of our country, visit your neighborhood Imperial Esso dealer and ask him for one of these touring service request cards. Mail it in, and within a few days, the Imperial Esso touring service will send you this handsome plastic packet with marked maps and other useful information on road conditions and accommodations. Another service that's right with the times from your neighborhood Imperial Esso dealer.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the 3 stars selected tonight by Doug Harvey. The first star is Bob Pulford of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The second star is Ab McDonald of the Chicago Blackhawks. The third star, Dave Keon, Toronto Maple Leafs.
On behalf of Imperial Esso agents and dealers throughout Canada, Imperial Oil now presents tonight's complete hockey summary.
Ward Cornell, along with Doug Harvey, to have the reasons for the selection.
Well, Ward, I thought Bob Pulford, of course, with his 3 goals, but he was very aggressive all night. He was in there for the first goal, which is very important. I thought he played a very tough game, was checking in there. I thought Bert Olmsted helped him quite a bit, but Bob, with his 3 goals, of course, I'd have to take him for the first. For Chicago, I thought Ab McDonald kept them in the game with his 2 goals. He was carrying the puck pretty well for them all night. He made some good plays, and I pick Ab for the second. For the third star, Dave Keon. He scored a nice goal, the 4th goal, but I thought all night he was jumping. I thought he had motors on his skates. He was going so well. He broke out of his own end a lot, carrying the puck very well. So all in all, I thought he kept the Leafs on the move pretty well.
Any honorable mentions?
Oh, there's quite a few of them. Ward, I mean, I thought the whole Toronto club played a great game. And I'd give a lot of credit to Don Simmons going in there like that.
Well, thanks very much, Doug, for your reasons. Thanks for being with us. And now up top to Foster Hewitt.
They say a team that won't be beaten can't be beaten. And that was the story of the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. They burst into a 2-0 lead. They often say, as far as the Leafs are concerned, how Pulford goes, so go the Leafs. And that was the story tonight. Pulford got them off flying. McDonald and the Hawks surged back. They were really in there fighting in the early part of the second period after Murray Balfour had got 1 goal back. Then the Hawks got those 2 goals. Ab McDonald, not only to tie the score, but take the lead. And then the Leafs came back with 5 goals, and that's just typical of what happened in that game. Then each team shared scoring in the final stages. But the Leafs had the game completely under control in that last period, and that's the most impressive win and performance of the Maple Leaf team, not only this year, but in many years in a playoff. Now, the shots on goal would indicate where that puck might be. The Toronto Maple Leafs outshot Chicago 44-30. Once again, the final score in tonight's game, Toronto Maple Leafs 8, Chicago Blackhawks 4. Now here's your Imperial Esso dealer, Murray Westgate.
Say, here's one of Canada's top travel bargains, the Esso travel bag, lined in leather with a side pocket for shoes, wet towels, or bathing suits. A top value at $5 wherever you see this display from your neighborhood Imperial Esso dealer, either by mail order or on the spot. Travel right into spring. Buy one tomorrow for yourself or for the family. And be with us again on Sunday evening for the 6th exciting game in the Stanley Cup playoffs from the Chicago Stadium. Until then, this is Murray Westgate wishing you good night and happy motoring.
This is the CBC Television Network.
The programs Bonanza, Close-Up, and Quest will not be seen tonight. These programs will return next Sunday at their regular times over most of these same stations. In just a moment, we take you to the Chicago Stadium for the 6th game of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks.
The Stanley Cup Playoffs. Brought to you by Imperial Oil Limited. On behalf of Imperial Esso dealers and Imperial Esso agents from coast to coast.
For the first period of this 6th game of the Stanley Cup Finals, which the Maple Leafs are leading in the series 3-2 and need but a single victory to win the Stanley Cup. Chicago Blackhawks, as you see on your screen, are coming out of their dressing room and will appear on the ice from the east side of the Chicago Stadium, which is to my right. Toronto Maple Leafs at the other end. Here come the Blackhawks. And there's Don Simmons, the west end of the Chicago Stadium for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they're jammed in here, right to the rafters, for this crucial game. And the referee will be Frank Gutberry with striped jersey number 2, who is talking to Dick Duff at the moment at center ice. The linesmen are Matt Pavlich, striped jersey number 5, and Neil Armstrong, number 8. Now then, referee Frank Gutberry has called the players to center.
Please refrain from throwing any debris upon the ice. Such debris could result in a serious injury to a player. Thank you. And now our national anthem by Bernard Izzo, accompanied by organist Al Melgard.
Stand on guard for thee.
Right off the bat, we have streamers on the ice. The lights have dimmed here on the second balcony on the south side of the stadium. And the fans are all ready for this one. They came early. And for the Maple Leafs, it's Olmsted with Pulford, Nevin, Vaughn, and Brewer. But before they can get started, we have an egg on the ice in front of the Leaf net. And they're scraping it up. So we get the first omelet right off the bat. We're still waiting for the game to get started in this first period. Sixth game of the Stanley Cup Finals. Leafs leading in the series 3-2. Now they've scraped up the egg. No, apparently they haven't been able to get all of it. It's splattered in front of Simmons. Well out. Referee Frank Gutberry has waved to the goal judges. So now we're all set to start this first period. All set, it's Makita. We played 2 minutes and 12 seconds of the first period. There's no score. On the faceoff, a shot went wide of the Leaf goal. Alper is dumped by Keon. Then it's Stanley. Up past Armstrong, and he just failed to get away. Ho on the left wing shoots the puck right back and hit Horton. Horton flicks it out again, and it goes back into the Chicago zone. Opening up in this first period, Saint Laurent to the right wing. Hay off the boards for Balfour. Up with Saint Laurent over the blue line. Balfour watched by Keon, still has it back to Hay, a shot, and Keon fell in front of it. Evans gets a shot. Right on, Simmons made the save. It came out in front of the net. And Stanley gets it for the Leafs. Flicks it out for Keon. Keon is checked. There's going to be a penalty to Evans for holding. Evans, number 5, gets the first penalty of the first period and the game. And gives the Leafs the odd man advantage.
Evans, 2 minutes for holding at 2:57.
2:57, a holding penalty to Jack Evans, Chicago Blackhawks. Face-off will be in the Blackhawk territory, and Mahavlich is out there with Harris, Stewart, Kelly, and Brewer. Vasco, Palat, Turner, and Fleming. And from the face-off, Kelly keeps the puck in with a backhand to the corner. Harris centered it right in front for Stewart. And it was stopped. There's back to the blue line. Brewer gets set, a shot. Hit Fleming. Flips it over for Kelly. Kelly is hit. And Vasco clears it out and down the ice. Brewer to Harris. To Mahavlich to Harris. Up the center ice. Pass for Mahavlich. Left it for Harris, who chopped it behind the Chicago net, and Vasco finds an opening and clears it to the blue line. Fleming the rest of the way to center. Kelly back for it to Brewer. Brewer at his own blue line. A flip pass high. It goes into the Chicago zone, and Vasco gets back to touch it. Cleared it to the blue line. It deflects out the center ice, and it's Brewer back at the blue line with it. A pass over to Harris. Shoots it in. Glenn Hall to Vasco. Vasco is stopped by Stewart. Vasco gets it again and lifts a high one. This time it goes into the Leaf bench. And it's called for a face-off in the Chicago zone to the right of Glenn Hall. We've passed the 4-minute mark in the first period. No score. Evans still in the penalty box. Fleming coming over to check the number of seconds remaining in the penalty. Fulford, Olmsted, Nevin, Kelly, and Horton. It's back to Kelly. Kelly takes his shot and hit the side of the net. Olmsted in the corner. Jammed, kicks it. Kelly trying to help him out, and they hold it there against the boards for a face-off. Face-off is at the edge of the circle in Chicago territory. Scoreless tie in this first period. Fulford tried to sneak it through the defense, but a shot out to center ice, and back goes Horton. Horton, number 7, a pass to stop by Fleming, and Horton gets it again. Up the center, over the line, takes his shot, and Glenn Hall got a piece of that one. It comes back to Nevin, his shot, and Glenn Hall caught that one on the chest. Face-off is in the Chicago zone to the left. No score in this first period. Evans still in the penalty box. Dollar Saint Laurent comes out with Fleming, Palat, and Turner. Stanley comes out to replace Kelly, number 4, leaving the ice. Chicago Blackhawks are in the dark sweaters. They're actually red. Toronto Maple Leafs in white. And from the face-off, Makita, number 21, watched by Nevin. A flip pass into the corner. Turner gives it back to Makita. Up over the line. Still has it in his skate. Handed it right to Fulford. Fulford with Stanley behind him. Fulford shoots, and Glenn Hall got a piece of that one. It rolls out over the blue line. Horton lost it to Evans. Evans coming up with a pass to Makita. Makita gets his shot. Simmons stops that. It came out in front of the net. Pierre Pallotta's shot, stopped by Horton. Then Makita took a whack at it. Horton couldn't get it. And Nevin comes up with it. Nevin, a long pass for Fulford, too far. It tips off McDonald's stick back into the Chicago zone, and Evans gets it to Saint Laurent, number 19, ahead to McDonald. Over to Makita, over the line with Warham, and it's offside at the Maple Leaf blue line. And we've played 5 minutes and 34 seconds of the first period. There's no score. And there's a bit of a haze now from the second balcony here. Smoke drifting up from the mezzanine. Face-off is outside the blue line. Keon, Armstrong, and Duff. The puck goes over to the far boards into Chicago territory for Evans. Evans over to Saint Laurent, out to center ice. It knocked by Brewer to Hay. Hay takes his shot, and Simmons made the save. Back for Duff. Trying to get away on the left wing. Hull stopped him. Evans over to Saint Laurent. His pass stopped by Brewer. Brewer, a flip pass for Armstrong. Armstrong chops the puck into the Chicago zone. Saint Laurent leaves it in his own zone. It comes back to Bond. Bond. There's going to be a penalty here to Chicago. Armstrong was hit. And Bobby Hull gets the gate, number 7. And that's the second penalty in a row to the Blackhawks. In this first period, there's no score in the game.
Chicago penalty, Hull, 2 minutes for board checking at 6:08.
6:08, boarding to Bobby Hull. Chicago playing a man short again. Scrapers are out on the ice picking up the papers that were thrown out. We're at the 6:08 mark of the first period, a scoreless tie. All the players out having a skate, or most of them. Sixth game of the Stanley Cup Finals here at the Chicago Stadium. Telecasting from the second balcony on the south side of the Chicago Stadium. Ice surface runs east and west. In this first period, it's Chicago at the east end and the Maple Leafs at the west. Now the Leafs have Mahavlich, Duff, Armstrong, Kelly, and Horton. Now then, Keon comes out to take over at center. Duff is replaced by Mahavlich on the left wing. No score in the game at the 6:08 mark of the first period. Now they throw some more paper out, so that'll delay it a moment while the referee throws it to the linesman, Matt Pavlich. Lining up for the faceoff, the puck is dropped. Keon had it on his skate, tried to poke it back. Keon, a flip past Armstrong. Armstrong shot it out over the blue line, and Kelly had to go back for it. Kelly skates behind the Maple Leaf goal. Starts out with Mahavlich to Kelly. Back up at center to Armstrong. Over the blue line. Saint Laurent was checked by Armstrong. The puck goes into the corner. It's flipped to Fleming. Fleming coming out on the left wing. Gets away from Keon. Shoots it back to Evans. Over to Fleming. Fleming up the center over the blue line. Takes his shot off the leg, and Simmons caught the rebound and left it for Kelly. Kelly starts out now for the Maple Leafs. A long pass for Armstrong. Armstrong was checked by Saint Laurent. And it's Horton. Pass for Mahavlich over to Armstrong. Armstrong was checked by Saint Laurent. And Kelly goes back for it. Kelly, a pass to Keon. Keon going up over the line. Hit the side of the net. The puck goes into the corner. Armstrong couldn't get to it. Saint Laurent, clearing pass for Nestorenko, just failed to click. Kelly, a flip pass. Goes after it. Nestorenko had him covered. Kelly was hit by Saint Laurent. Armstrong went down. Horton, a long pass for Keon. Goes into the Chicago zone. Behind the net for Evans into the corner. No score as the puck is cleared down the ice. And Nevin goes back for it. Bobby Hull still in the penalty box. Leafs having the odd man. Nevin to Horton. Horton falls and holds the puck against the boards as he tripped over something on the ice. And we passed the 8-minute mark in the first period. Still no score. We're at the 8:03 mark of the first period. No score in the game. On the faceoff, the puck was shot down the ice into the Chicago zone. Olmsted races after it with Palat. He gets to it first, though. Cleared it to Vasco. Vasco's pass stopped by Bond to Nevin. Nevin cleared it right in front of the net, and Palat tipped it. Pulford ran into Palat. And it's Makita bringing the puck out. A long pass for Hull. Hull took his shot. Landed into the boards. Pulford to Olmsted. Olmsted missed a check from Palat. The puck is shot into the Chicago zone. Vasco, a pass for Nestorenko. Olmsted bumped into him. Brewer took his shot, and it was just wide of the corner. And Pulford tried to pass it out in front. Nestorenko, watched by Pulford, gets it out to Makita. He and Hull over the line. Makita takes his shot, and Brewer deflects it to the corner. Hull is given a bump. Bond to Pulford, couldn't get it out. Nevin gets it out over the line, ran into Makita. Then Pulford over the line. At least Nevin with Pulford trying to get up with him. And Vasco took him out of the play, and Bobby Hull comes back, number 7. Up over the Leaf line. Bond fell. Pulford goes for it. He's hit by Makita. Then Hull runs into Pulford. Hull and Bond jamming there. And the faceoff is in the Maple Leaf zone to the right as we've played 9 minutes and 20 seconds of the first period. No score. Saint Laurent getting some tape off his stick back near the penalty box. Now he's ready to go. Face-off is in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. Hull, Hay, and Balfour as Duff gets out on the left side to his own blue line. Up the center ice. Up over the Chicago line, and Saint Laurent gets into the corner first. Handed it to Keon. Keon was hit by Balfour to Hay. Hay flicked it. Stanley moves up, takes his shot, and hit Balfour and goes down the ice. Horton goes back for it, number 7. Horton working out with a long pass for Keon and hopped over his stick. It's going over the red line, and it's Saint Laurent touching it. The Leafs are called for icing the puck. This is your Imperial Esso hockey broadcast. All set for the face-off in the Maple Leaf zone to the left. Kelly, Mahavlich, and Stewart. Stanley and Horton facing Horvath, Fleming, and Nestorenko. Kelly a pass over to Stewart. Stewart coming up the center with a pass from Mahavlich, deflected in. It's in the Chicago zone. Evans shot it around on the board. Stewart couldn't keep it in, and it's Fleming. A long pass to Nestorenko. Up over the Leaf line. Takes his shot high off the glass. Fleming centered it out. Horvath back for Saint Laurent. He took his shot 10 feet wide of the net. Mahavlich cleared it to the blue line. Evans keeps it in. Then Stanley, a quick pass for Stewart. Stewart at his own blue line. At center. Stick handles. Only to lose it to Fleming. Horton ran into him, and the puck is back in the Leaf zone again. Stanley. Pass to Kelly. Kelly was checked by Fleming. Horton shoots it out to center ice, and Saint Laurent brings it in over the line with Horvath. Offside. Nestorenko going in on the right wing. One stride in advance of the pass. And there's 9 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the first period. No score in the game. Stan Mikita with Kenny Warren and Ab McDonald facing Bob Pulford, Bert Olmsted, and Bob Nevin. Pierre Palat and Elmer Vasco on the defense. Bob Bond and Carl Brewer for the Maple Leafs. Bond is behind the Leaf goal where he stands there. A pass over to Brewer. Brewer back for Bond. Up to Nevin. It rolls out over the line. Mikita pass to Warren. Back to Mikita, number 21. He's checked by Nevin. Nevin shoots the puck in right on, and Glenn Hall stopped it. Chicago Blackhawks are wearing their dark sweaters, which are red. Brewer keeps the puck in the Chicago zone as they take turns forechecking. Ab McDonald, a pass for Mikita. Then to McDonald, a pass for Warren, and Pulford broke it up and shoots it right back in again, wide of the Chicago net. Vasco trying to find a man in the open. A pass to McDonald, roll it out to Mikita. Mikita and Palat over the line together. Mikita takes his shot wide. Nevin failed to get it out. Vasco, number 4, passes to Mikita. It was too far for him. Kenny Warren stopped by Olmsted, but he gets it to Mikita. Mikita passing it in front of the net. It rolls right to Pulford. Pulford. Long pass for Bond. Out over his own blue line. Up the center. Shoots the puck in. Mikita ran into Pulford, and there could be a penalty on that play. Mikita seems to be hurt. Pulford of the Leafs is going to the penalty box. Could be high sticking. 2 minutes for high sticking.
Toronto penalty, Pulford, 2 minutes for high sticking at 12:09.
12:09, high sticking to Pulford. The Leafs are a man short. Horvath, Hull, McDonald, Palat, and Hay as the puck is cleared into the Chicago zone. Bill Hay passes over to Palat, back to Bill Hay at his own blue line. Ahead at center ice to McDonald offside. He took it over the checkered line. from a pass which originated from inside the blue line. Horvath facing off with Armstrong, number 10. It's Hull. A pass past Keon to Palat to Horvath. Up over the line. Stanley ran into Horvath. Keon passed it for Armstrong. Armstrong missed a check from Hull, and Horton shoots it down the ice. Goes back into the Chicago zone. Palat is back there for to pass to Hay. Hay back to Palat. Palat to Bobby Hull. Here comes the long shot wide. Then McDonald was checked by Keon. The puck goes to Palat. Palat was checked by Stanley. Stanley brushed it with his glove out to center ice. Bobby Hull coming back for Chicago again. Fakes the shot, kicked it over the line, and Armstrong just shot it right back out again. 6 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first period. No score. Chicago Blackhawks have the odd man, Bobby Hull, down the left wing to center. He's stopped by Horton. Horton goes back himself. Up over the line. Chased off to the side by Hay, and Palat jammed him into the boards. McDonald goes after Duff. He's got it caught in the skates, but it gets loose. Bobby Hull couldn't get away. McDonald passes it back. Palat gets back there quickly. Palat trying to come out. Duff tried to cover him, but Palat gets away from him to center. A pass over to Hay over the line. Hay centered it across in front of the net, and Stanley shoots it off the boards and down the ice. Hall came way out of his net to cover up. Shot it off to Hay against the boards, who came in behind the net. Hay stopped by Nevin. Passed it right in front of the net. Makita pass to Hull. Pulford is back on the ice. Hull is knocked down. It's still in the Leaf zone. Balfour trying to center it. Pulford ran into him, and it ends up in the mesh behind the Maple Leaf net, the west end of the Chicago Stadium. About 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the first period. No score in the game. All set for the face-off in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. Don Simmons playing in goal. Len Hall, of course, for Chicago. Brewer behind the Maple Leaf net. Still has it. Coming out, the teams are even. Stewart couldn't get out. Fleming, a pass to Horvath. Horvath took a whack at it, golfed it into the corner, in behind the net, into the corner again, out in front. Brewer couldn't get it out. Horvath, a backhand again. Fleming hit the front of the net. And it's a clearing pass to Stewart. Over to Mahavlich, up to center ice. Over the Chicago line. He stops, takes his shot right in front of the net. And Fleming comes up with it. Back down the ice, Evans trailing over the line. Fleming still with it. Passes it right back to Stewart. And Stewart and Kelly come down with Mahavlich trying to catch up on the left wing. Stewart takes his shot. Oh, and Glenn Hall just got his pad in front of that drive. Back for Saint Laurent. Shot it into the Leaf zone. Nesterenko flicked it out in front. Brewer knocked it off to the side. Mahavlich shot his... everything on the ice. One nothing Chicago. And they're going wild. Bobby Hull scored it. And they're still throwing hats on the ice. That puck went right through his legs, or it appeared to from here, on a quick shot by Bobby Hull from a pass out. Nothing for Chicago.
Chicago goal by Bobby Hull. Assisted by Murray Balfour and Red Hay at 8:56.
Hull from Balfour and Hay at 8:56 gives Chicago a 1-0 lead. No scoring in the first period, 3 penalties. Evans of Chicago for holding at 2:57. There goes the hat that's on the string. There's red paint on the ice. Official time of the goal, 8:56. Bobby Hull from Murray Balfour and Red Hay. Still scraping up the debris. Take him a little while yet. Because there's a few eggs down at this end that have to be scraped up.
At 4:30.
4:30 is the time of the tripping penalty to Tim Horton of the Maple Leafs, number 7. That gives Chicago the odd man. Playing 6 men to 5. There's no score in the game. Keon Armstrong. Vaughn and Brewer. All set to go. The puck is dropped. It goes back to Palat. Palat into Makita. Makita back to Pierre Palat. He gets set the shot. And that deflects wide. Makita centered right in front of the net, and Brewer breaks away with Keon up the center. Brewer going over the Chicago line. Took his shot off the glass. It rebounded all the way out to Vaughn. Vaughn shot it back into the Chicago zone, and it's Pierre Palat. Straight up the ice to center. 3 of them over the line. Back for Hull. Hull takes his shot right in front of the net. Here's Pierre Palat back to Makita. Makita fanned on his shot. It goes into the corner. McDonald trying to center it. It rolls back to Pierre Pilat. A shot deflected wide. It's right out in front of the net. And Brewer takes over and shoots it down the ice. Makeda back for it. We've played 5 minutes and 30 seconds. At the third period, no score. Bill Hay to center, up over the line, and he lost it, and Nevin shot it down the ice. Makeda goes back for it. His pass was stopped by Pulford. Pulford from behind the net, and Bobby Hull took it away from him. Then Nevin and Pulford try to combine. Nevin took the puck. He's jammed in on the boards, knocked down by Hay. Makeda, a pass to McDonald, stopped by Brewer, and he shot it out. Pulford races after it, takes his shot, and it was caught by Glenn Hall, but it was offside. We've played 6 minutes, 12 seconds of the third period. No score. And this is really a tight hockey game. Horton is still in the penalty box. Horvath with Fleming and Nesterenko, Hay and Basco. Fulford, Nevin, Bond, and Brewer. Calling for the scraper. Bunch of papers just inside the blue line. The Hawks are having a conference with Vasco, Fleming, and Horvath. Arbor and number 3 and Shack number 23 having a skate for the Leafs. There's Simmons, the goalkeeper. Referee Frank Averi has called them now to face off. Shack went over to the penalty box. They've gone over to the linesman there, Neil Armstrong, for the face-off inside the Leaf blue line. The Leafs are still a man short. From the draw, Pulford broke his stick. The puck goes into the corner in the Leaf zone. Pulford goes over to get a new stick. Basco kept it in. Brewer, a pass to Pulford. Pulford flicks it out. Comes back to Basco. Basco ahead to Fleming. It's deflected over the line. Hay took his shot, and Simmons caught that and held onto it for a face-off in the Maple Leaf zone. Horton is still in the penalty box. A scoreless tie at the 6:28 mark of this third period. Now then, Bond is going over to the penalty box. Looks like 3 seconds remaining. All set to go for the face-off in the Leaf zone. Stanley gets the draw. Left it right near the front of the net. Went to the corner. It's Horton back on the ice. Pierre Pilat takes his shot, and it deflects out to Horton. Horton a long pass for Pulford. Up with Nevin. They're over the line. Pulford took his shot. Glenn Hall stopped it. Shot the puck into the corner. Pavlich comes out. Also Kelly. Now then, Vasco to center ice for Chicago. Number 4. Gets away from 2 checks. Up over the line. Shot the puck into the corner. Ran into Mahavlich. And Horton comes up with it for the Leafs, number 7. A pass for Mahavlich. Able to get away. Shot right back into the Leaf zone again, and Stanley goes back for it. Stanley off the boards to Horton. Horton flicks it out for Stewart too far. Vasco shot it back to Fleming. Fleming turns for Chicago. Tried to go through the defense. Too well covered, and the puck was cleared back to center ice. Long shot by Vasco, and he broke his stick in half. Horton gets away from Horvath. Was turned around. Still comes up with it. Cleared it out from Mahamlich too far, and Pierre Palat gets it. He flipped it back and hit the linesman. Mahamlich tried to roll it through, and Nesterenko gets back quickly. He gets away from Mahamlich in the corner, passed it right out in front, and Horvath gets it to Fleming. Up the center, over the line, takes his shot, and Simmons stops that. A long pass for Kelly. He let it go. Saint Laurent gets up ahead. Gets over the line with Nesterenko. Nesterenko couldn't get a try. We have played 8 minutes and 19 seconds of the third period. There's no score. Duff tried to center it, passed it right in front of the net. It was deflected by Saint Laurent down the ice. Simmons let it go, but it was in a position for the goalkeeper to get it. Bond. A pass over on the wing. Evans kept it in. Bond cleared it to the blue line and knocked it out to center ice. Hay fell. Howe off the boards for Balfour. Puck was flicked out to center, and Howe a pass to Balfour again over the line. They're working down at the east end now. The penalties in the second period. Fleming of Chicago for tripping at 5:19. Nesterenko of Chicago for high sticking at 7:42. Von of the Leafs for holding at 11:46. Saint Laurent Chicago holding at 18:07. In the third period, which we're now at the 8:56 mark, Bobby Hull scoring from Balfour and Hay to make it 1-0 Chicago. Now it's Hail, Hail, the gang's all here for the hockey fans at the Chicago Stadium, and they're all singing. They're still up on their feet. Nothing for the Chicago Blackhawks. They've just about finished scraping up the ice. Now the Hawk players are coming out for a skate. They still have some. There's the organist down at the east end showing the score. Chicago 1, Toronto Maple Leafs no score. Bobby Hull from Murray Balfour and Red Hay. 8:56 of this third period to give Chicago a 1-0 lead. They'll have a couple of eggs to scrape up yet, and then we should be ready to get started again. Well, looks like they have the ice almost cleaned up. Just about one egg to go. Some of the Leaf players are out skating. Shack, Horton, Armstrong, Arbor, Harris, Olmsted, Stanley, and Pulford. Chicago have Balfour, McDonald, Warham, Nikita, Turner all out having a skate. Now we're all set to get started again. Unless somebody throws something out on the ice again. Well, that was quite a demonstration by the Blackhawk fans. We're all set to start play again. And from the face-off, it's Evans. Clearing the puck over to Stanley of the Leafs. He flips it for Olmsted. Olmsted gets the puck into the Chicago zone. Pulford couldn't get to it. Makita to McDonald. Up the center ice to Warham. A drop pass for Makita, and it was knocked down by Horton. Horton comes back with Olmsted and Pulford over the line. Back to Olmsted. He took his shot. It's right in front of the net, and Glenn Hall stopped it. And we're at the 9:20 mark of the third period. 1-0 Chicago. Evans facing off with Pulford. Pulford got the draw. Olmsted and Evans go after it. It's knocked behind the net. Makita stopped by Shack, who ran into the Chicago player. Olmsted gets it back to Stanley. Stanley shot it. It's right in front of the net. And Makita comes up with it. A long pass for McDonald. Over the line, stopped by Stanley. Stanley, a long pass for Pulford. Pulford turns at his own blue line. Up the center. Takes a long shot. Glenn Hall stirred it off to the side. And it's offside at the blue line. We played 10 minutes less. 12 seconds of the third period. 1-0 Chicago Blackhawks. Bobby Hull from Balfour and Hay at 8:56 has been the only scoring play in the game so far. On the faceoff, Kelly knocked it over the line. Pasco shot it out to Fleming. Fleming to Horvath. One man back over the line. The shot. Simmons steered it off to the side. Nesterenko trying to center it, and Brewer. And now it's a 1-1 tie. Score is tied 1-1.
Toronto goal.
Now set for the faceoff. Balfour checked at center ice, but they shoot the puck into the Leaf zone. Horton goes back for it. Balfour beat him to it. And it's Armstrong. A pass for Stanley. Off the boards to Keon. Racing down the ice, over the line. Back to Duff. Duff shoots. Right on. Shoots again, and he shot it wide of the corner. Evans, watched by Duff, who passed it in front of the net. And Saint Laurent sets Balfour up. Up the center. Over the line. He's hit by Stanley and knocked down. The puck goes back out to center ice. Evans turns with 9 minutes. Or at least 8 minutes and 48 seconds. Hull went racing in, and Simmons just cleared it at the last moment. A shot deflects wide of the Leaf goal, and it's Duff. A pass for Keon. Was checked by Hayes. Pass to Hull. Hull shot it wide. And Horton gets the rebound. A pass out for Duff. Duff going up with Armstrong. Over the line. Bobby Hull coming up to his own blue line. Up the center ice. Up to the Leaf line. The shot. And Simmons stopped that. A flip pass for Stanley. Stanley to Olmsted too far. Back for Saint Laurent of Chicago. 1-1 tie over the line. A shot wide of the Leaf goal. Ends up behind the net. Stanley gets away from Hull momentarily. Off the boards out to Pulford. Pulford gets over the Chicago line. Takes a shot, and that just missed the corner. It comes back to the blue line. Brewer kept it in. Olmsted stole it. Here's a pass for Pulford. It hopped over his stick. Here's back to Pulford again. Pulford takes a shot. It hits Saint Laurent. Olmsted was too well covered. Brewer brings it in offside.
Final goal by Bob Nevin, assisted by Bob Baum, Frank Mihalovich at 10:29.
10:29. Nevin from Mihalovich. Score is tied 1-1. 7 minutes and 30 seconds left now in the third period. A 1-1 tie. Up first, Palat. Stopped by Pulford, who flicked it back to Vasco. Vasco up over the line, getting set. Takes his shot, and it caromed off a skate. Olmsted flicked it over the line. Pierre Palat was checked by Olmsted. Olmsted tried to kick it back. Makita was stopped by Brewer, and Shack turned. Nevin from Mihalovich and Bond at 10:29 has been the scoring play. Stanley ran it to Nesterenko. Kelly up to center ice. Flipped it through for Nevin. He's got a break. Right in on goal. And he's dumped from behind. There's going to be a penalty to Nesterenko for hooking. Nesterenko will get a penalty. A 2-minute penalty for hooking.
Chicago penalty, Nesterenko, 2 minutes for hooking at 13:27.
13:27. Hooking penalty. Score is tied 1-1. Kelly, Mihalovich, Nevin, Harris, and Horton. All set for the face-off. Harris leaves it there. Here's Mihalovich, a shot right on. They bang at it twice, and Nevin failed to get the rebound as Glenn Hall covered up. Score is tied 1-1. Face-off in the Chicago zone to the right. 6 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in regulation time. Score is tied 1-1. All set for the face-off. Harris trying to get the draw. It's caught among the skates. It goes to the corner. Mihalovich knocked Turner down, and Turner ends up on top of the puck. Face-off will be in the Chicago zone to the right. Score is tied 1-1. The Leafs ahead now, 2-1, with Nesterenko in the penalty box. All set for the face-off. Puck goes loose, and it's Evans bringing it up for Chicago. Shot it into the Leaf zone. And Bond back for it. Jammed in on the boards. They fall there, and there's no further play, and there's 5 minutes.
Chicago,
36
Toronto goal by
seconds.
Dickie Duff, assisted by Tim Horton, George Armstrong, 14-14.
Horton and Armstrong got the assists, with the Leafs now leading 2-1. Face-off in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. Bond, Brewer, Pulford, Olmsted, and Stewart. And from the face-off, Murray Belford took a shot wide of the Leaf goal. Hull is checked, and Olmsted gets it for the Leafs and flicks it out to center ice. It's Evans back for Chicago. The Blackhawks will throw everything at the Leafs now as Stewart clears the puck into the Chicago zone, and Hull goes back for it. Hull passed it right in front of his own net. Pulford and Stewart try to combine. Hay passed it back into the corner, and Hull gets it for Chicago. He flipped it out on the wing. Balfour is dumped by Olmsted. Then Olmsted took his shot, and that was wide. St. Laurent cleared it out and down the ice. It's going to Simmons. He stops it, and Brewer's back for it. 14-14 was the time of the goal. Here's Bond shooting it off to the side, and Olmsted comes up with it. A flip pass to Brewer. Brewer getting down to the left wing, a pass for Pulford, stopped by St. Laurent. St. Laurent pass out for Balfour. Balfour gets over the line. There's three Hawks coming in together. A shot across the goal mouth. Hull kept it in there. Olmsted flicks it out and high down the ice. And Evans gets back to get it with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left in regulation time. 2-1 for the Leafs. Back up for Makita. A drop pass for Hull. He's getting set. Too well covered. And it's back for Nevin and Mahavlich. Over the line. Back to Mahavlich. Mahavlich waits. Pass it out in front for Kelly. And Balfour nearly got loose. St. Laurent gets it up to Balfour. To Makita. He passed it across in front. St. Laurent shoots the puck into the Leaf zone. Simmons came out and fell. Leaves it for Stanley. Stanley comes up to his own blue line to center. Takes a long shot into the corner. 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in regulation time. 2-1 for the Maple Leafs as the puck goes into the crowd.